Welcome. And this week, we are going to be talking quickly about resume building and how to start writing resumes. So, this week, what you'll be doing is writing your first draft of a resume. You will send it to the Job Resource Placement Center at Harper College, who will then provide you with feedback on your resume. You will then take into account that feedback to write your final draft, which will be submitted at our next learning module, so Module 5. So just again, to summarize, this week you'll be working on a draft of your resume. You will submit it to the Job Placement Center, and then next week you'll get it back with some feedback and insights, which then you will submit to me. So some of the objectives for this week with resume building is to identify the components of a resume, discover ways to make your resume stick out, identify the CHW or community health worker skills and competencies you currently have and provide examples, and then gain practice with web conferencing and interviews. And that will be more later in the summer semester. So a resume is a 1 or 2 page summary of your education, skills, and experience. It should be brief and concise, no more than a page or two. The main purpose of a resume is to get you that interview with the company. It is often the first item a potential employer will see about you. And so therefore, it's very important. You want to get noticed. It's a short descriptive account of your work experience, your education, qualifications, achievements, and special skills. And it really is one of the most important job search tools that are out there. So the importance of a resume, the adage is you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And this is essentially true for resumes because the first glimpse of your employers get is with your resume, and it can be impressive or it cannot be impressive. So you really want to make an impressive, good resume. A great resume can open a door, but an inferior resume can close one. One thing to keep in mind is I sometimes get asked by students, can I fudge or put some white lies on my resume? And the answer is no. What you'll be doing is you will work this week and next week on finding ways to highlight your skills. So even if you have no job experience, there are still ways to create a resume that will stand out, that will help show a potential employer your skills. What competencies do you have? So lying is generally something you definitely don't want to do when you're writing a resume. Here's some other do's and don'ts. Do keep a clean and easy layout, a standard font, and have your correct contact information. Double check your name, double check your phone number and your email, because it's important to have the proper information so that a potential employer would be able to contact you. Some things to stay away from. Don't clutter up your resume. Make it easy to read. Do not use fancy font. It makes it very difficult to read through. And do not put any personal information, including marital status, your age, kids, anything like that. You want to keep personal information out of your resume. And there are different types of resumes. There's a chronological resume, which shows consistency. It stresses what you've accomplished in each of the positions you've held. And it's in chronological order. So it would go from most recent job experience down to the least recent job experience. A second type is a functional resume, and this focuses on skills and experiences, but doesn't necessarily include all of your chronological timeline and job titles. For example, if I were to write a resume, I probably would do the combination of a chronological and functional. I certainly would not include every job I've ever held. Think back when I was 15, 16 working at Dairy Queen. Potential employers really don't care that I worked when I was that age, and those really gave me no additional skills that I could add to a resume now. So I would just highlight the jobs I've had that would contribute to the skills needed for the position I was applying for. So here are the sections of a resume. Your personal information. This is just your name, phone number, and email. You may want to put your address. The objective of the resume, summary of your qualifications, your education, your work experience, your skills, awards and activities, if you have any volunteer experience, and you can list some references. I would be happy to serve as each of your references, so you can definitely put my name down. Other ways to organize a resume is you can have headings. You should have section titles. You could state your objective, your education, leadership involvement. You can see here the rest. You can put some of your interests, but these should be professional interests, not personal ones. So oftentimes I get the question, what is an objective and what is your profile? The objective goes at the top of your resume, and it would include brief but a specific statement outlining the type of employment or exact position that you are seeking for or applying for. So your objective can be searching for a position in the field of community health work. A profile summary, on the other hand, details the strengths, experiences, and interests that you have to offer an employee. So the difference here would be you would write motivated, community-oriented person looking for a position in the community health as a community health worker. So the difference is, and the second one is you're highlighting your own skills for the employer, and the first one, you're just writing what you're looking for. It's also really important to use action verbs in your syllabus. These are specific and they help clarify your contributions and bring a confident tone to your resume and list of accomplishments. I'm going to provide a list on the next page of different action verbs that I think are very commonly used in resumes. But here's an example of a lack of strength and clarity. Held weekly status meetings to share client updates. That doesn't really tell the potential employer anything. Here is the updated version. Spearheaded weekly status meetings to communicate agency revenue growth. This gives it more, it's more defined and gives the potential employer a better understanding of the purpose of those meetings. So here is a list of action verbs. On the right side, I have bolded and increased the font of maybe some ones that you may want to consider placing in your resume. There are some questions that you should ask yourself when you start thinking about a resume and looking for a job. And so when thinking about your resume, you should start asking yourself, what did I actually do at my last job? So if you've had a previous position, think about the skills that you gained from that position, not just the title of the job. So again, I'm going to talk about my experience when I worked at Dairy Queen. But I could talk about my customer service skills, how I handled and managed customer complaints or customer satisfaction, delineated tasks amongst my coworkers. So as you can see here, I didn't just say, oh, I served ice cream to customers. I talked about specific skills that I gained from being in that position. What does this job actually entail? So that would be the job you're applying for. I realize I'm having you write a resume for a job that you don't know exists yet, but think about it, you are writing a resume for a position in the field of community health work. So come at it from that angle. Think about what makes you unique compared to others around you. What excites you about being a community health worker? And try to put that excitement in your resume. What does success in the position look like? And think about how you can get past a computer. And what I mean by that is oftentimes you submit a resume and a computer is programmed to go through all of the resumes first. When they do so, the computer is set to look for keywords as it's related to the position. So you want to make sure that you place some keywords into your resume. One way to do it is to look at job descriptions for community health workers and find some of the essential skills they're looking for. So if it says collaboration, then make sure you put collaboration somewhere in that resume. If it says ability to work independently, then make sure you have that in your resume. So you are taking those keywords from the job posting and placing them in your resume. But again, only place them if they're truthful. If, let's say, it says be able to provide presentations and you don't have that skill, then maybe somewhere in there you could write that you gave a presentation in a class in college. And then this last page, I'm just quickly going to go through because we will do this later in the semester. But one of the trends lately is to do job interviews via the web. And so later in this semester, I'm going to have you practice being on camera, answering questions for a potential job interview. So this is it for the PowerPoint and show and video on resume building. I hope that you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns.